offense. We'll tell you about that. Meanwhile, we'll step aside, come back and join you. We'll have Franz, Ali Peek Wilbur, and others. So don't miss it. It's going to be a good show. Big win by the Gator basketball team. And terrific interview coming up with the head ball coach now, Jon Sumrall, with Ali. We'll have a bite of that too. So stand by. Evening. Welcome. Ali Martin Show is just about underway. The Gator game is just about over. We're going to the final 23 seconds. Good news for Florida. Jump all over those Bulldogs. Whip them up pretty good. And the final score will be, well, I don't really give it till it's final. We'll wait. Tonight on the program, we've got Franz just around the corner. He'll be joining us to give us his take on this red-hot Florida basketball team. My goodness gracious. They can't be stopped. They're like a steamroller here. I mean, their last 5 games in the SEC, of course, they lead the SEC. And they did it with the weapons tonight that we haven't seen from on nights, but some guys don't have it or not their best, playing their best. They get unbelievable play from guys like Xavian, Boogie, Fland, Isiah Brown. Boy, is he coming on or what? He is coming on to be a force. So we'll talk about that with Franz. And we've got this interview. I'm going to play a bite from it. It's really good. It's the best interview I've seen in a long time of a Florida coach. In fact, while we're waiting for Franz, we're going to play this, come back and talk about the basketball game. This is Ali Peek Wilbur. He'll join us a little bit to talk about this. She sat down with 86-66, Florida. Okay, 20 points. Sat down with this guy today, and Jon Sumrall, and she had a terrific. She'll be along in just a minute. Plus, Steve Russell will join us. Here it is.
Leaders. And so the locker room has to be the train stoppers. When the train's on the tracks, somebody in that locker room's got to be ready to step up, stop the train, and make sure it turns around and goes back the direction we want it to go. And so I think that's about, maybe with me, it's about developing and creating the leaders we need in our locker room to be successful. I've heard people say all the time, like, we just don't have great leadership. I'm like, well, that's a problem. That's a coach problem. Because a part of my job is to develop leadership. And that's what we do right now. This offseason stuff is about equipping and developing leaders to make the locker room make the right decisions on when things aren't going right. What do we do next? I use the Jocko Willink video with our team all the time. Like when something bad happens, my response is always good. Like that same App State game in 2022, we threw an interception on the first play of the game. And over the headset, I told my whole staff, said, good. I didn't want to watch us play offense. I wanted to play defense right now. And everybody's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to respond like, oh, dadgum, game's not going our way already. I'm like, good, I want to go watch our defense play. And so I think it's creating a mindset of like, no matter how bad something goes, and if you got a pulse, you got a chance.
I like that. Got a pulse, got a chance. That was the interview today Ali Peek Wilbur had with the head coach of the Gators, Jon Sumrall, in a terrific interview. It was about 20 minutes. My goodness, Ali got more Peek and more out of him in that 20 minutes than honestly I've got out of 4 years for the other guy. I'm tired of saying that. But good evening, Franz Beard. I'm going to call you Mr. Hat. What a performance tonight. Just about the time you think you got you got one of the stars under the gun. I mean, Sumrall didn't. Tommy Hough had an off night. He often doesn't.
Not really.
Well, but I mean, he didn't shoot the ball well at all the first half. But it's okay. My point is that even a night, and really we didn't get a lot of those putbacks that we normally get from Chinilo in the first half. He was dominant on the boards. My point is Xavian Lee, Boogie, Fland, and those guys stepped up, man, and they played great. Isiah Brown. We keep talking about Isiah Brown, fans. He hit 3 or 4 threes tonight.
He made 3, but he had 12 points. He had an old-fashioned 3-point play there, and he was really, really good. He was really, really good.
He's really developing. You could see it coming. We've talked about it time after time about how we see when this team hits on all cylinders, and tonight they didn't. They still blew out Georgia. Gutted Georgia's leading scorer was out. But they blew out Georgia. And review these last 4 wins in the SEC. They've been dominant.
Well, all you got to do is take a look at how Florida is just dismantling other teams, and it's pretty much the same thing every game, which is they beat you in the paint. They don't let you. They play great defense. Tonight, for example, Georgia shot 34%, 8 for 29 from the 3-point line, and we out-rebounded them. And we didn't play particularly well. Condon turned the ball over 7 times tonight. We had, I think, 14 turnovers, the most turnovers we've had in an SEC game since the first game of the season with Missouri. And Condon had
Georgia wasn't even pressing. That's the thing. They weren't even pressing. They had turnovers.
You can't press Gators. You're just,
Mike. They had the 14 turnovers without pressing. It concerns me they get the ball down low sometimes. But anyway, look, let's call it what it was, a 20-point win. We could sit here and nitpick and talk about, yes, there's always ways you can coach them up and give them about them. Gosh, Franz, this team, we're talking about a team like they're 500. This team is flying in the SEC, and we don't even know yet how good they can be. Now we'll find out. They got Kentucky on Saturday afternoon. They should win that game. And like we said, the ceiling on this team is all the way to the top. And the floor has got to be even the Elite 8, if not the Final 4. I'm just so impressive for guys like Xavian Lee knocking down that threes as he did, the way he's developed. He has confidence as a shooter now. What did you see tonight? What else that you thought was good on this team that you hadn't seen?
Well, I saw Boogie Fland and Xavian Lee get 33 points between them, and they only had 2 turnovers. Xavian Lee, 7 assists, 0 turnovers, 3 steals. Between the two of them, they are 14 for 27 from the field. They took 27 of Florida's 63 shots tonight. People are going to learn these guys can make shots. And what I've said all along is the Gators can make shots. they've actually made more threes than anybody than the other teams they played. It's funny, buddy, but everybody says, well, they're not a great shooting team. No, they're not, but they're making more threes than everybody else. And this is a really good, well-crafted roster that Todd Golden has put together, and they know how to play. Ruben Chinyelu tonight, 20 rebounds. Didn't have to score. 20 rebounds.
That's
tonight.
amazing. 20 rebounds.
I mean,
that's a whole team worth of rebounds.
I mean, you look, Klajar comes off the bench, gets 8. 20 off the bench. I mean, 12 off the bench for Isiah Brown. Hand-logged and only gets 2, but he gets 6. But he gets 6 rebounds and assists. He blocked a shot, and he was very, very intimidating. It's a great 8-man rotation, and this is a team, I promise you, nobody in the country wants to play them.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody.
All right, we got the great Franz Beard up out of his bed for a change. He's fired up about this basketball team. I would ask you now, those of you listening, please do me a favor. We need you to do this to grow this show because we're changing our software packages, and we need to know people need to keep up with us. If you would be so kind, David Ball-Up, I know you're there. Rest of you guys, a lot of you people will listen, our regular listeners. Please like and share the program. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Richard Hawkins, some of you people who are regulars, need you to like and share the program. You don't get Franz Beard up off his deathbed very often, but he was up, got his hat on. He's got his cap set. I can see it in his eye now. He's starting to see what this team can be. And Franz, we've talked about this a lot before, but the night when Georgia made a move and they went to a zone against Florida, normally speaking, the conventional ways that you shoot threes and knock them down, the pass play that they made, it was Tommy Hough, just beautiful touch for an alley-oop. It was just so quick and easy. And you said, well, there goes that zone. They got out of that zone in a hurry. They got so many weapons. If they ever tap into them. Now, don't want to get over my skis here. This team still got some things they can do better on. But, man, if they ever put it all together, Franz, I'm telling you, they could be unbeatable. Now, I saw a really good game the other day between Kansas and Arizona. Kansas upset. But I'm telling you, it was they're good. I think this Florida team is elite that way. So just want to say also, if I can switch gears for 1 second, I really got a lot out of the interview today. If you haven't seen it, Franz, go on YouTube and check out Ali's show, Ali Peek Wilbur. She had a 20-some minute interview with Sumrall. And it was not only insightful, interesting. I learned a lot about him. She made sure she got her licks in on that special teams, and he did. She has terrific stuff. I played a little bite earlier on the show. Let's go see if we can get her, bring her into the discussion right now and say, first of all, congratulations, Ali, on a terrific interview with Jon Sumrall. It's up on your YouTube page now. If you haven't seen it, go. What was that like? Don't have you.
Let's see. You got me now?
Gotcha.
Okay, perfect. It was awesome. He is really easy to talk to and very down to earth. And there's so little coach speak, which I think, we've spent too much time to count on this show trying to decipher what different coaches have said over the years. And I just feel like he's pretty straightforward. And, I think winning over the fan base is probably 20-ish% of the formula. The other 80% is, the product you put on the field. But I think he's crushing that 20%. And so, we'll see what happens when in spring ball and when they take the field in August. But I really do like what I hear so far.
Yeah. Let me let you talk.
Let me say first things.
I want you go ahead. I know you got to get writing. So
first things first, a I wanted to tell you something. You're a rising star in this business, and I mean that.
I think she's rising. She's risen already. I think.
I've been around a long time. Well, I say rising because it's just a matter of time before the people higher up start noticing. But you do great work. That was a solid interview, and you got to the point. You made good questions. You got to the point, and you didn't, and there was no fluff involved. You didn't feel like you had to kiss his butt to get answers out of him, which a lot of people. I got so tired of this watching the Super Bowl people. I'm sitting there thinking, gosh, these guys have lipstick stains on their butts from, and you got your answers without fluff, and that's important.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it for sure.
Now, what did you learn about him, Ali, that you didn't know?
So, I had been told by other people that he was pretty similar to Urban, but I hadn't experienced it myself. But the most telling thing for me, actually, like right on the other side of this computer screen back over there is a couch. And Eric was sitting there listening
to there. Okay.
This interview. And and some of the things that Coach said are things that Eric has told me almost verbatim over the years, things that were wrong in his opinion. He said a million times he felt like practice and the weight room needed to be more competitive and that everything needed to be a win and a loss. And I know that he thinks that because that's what Urban thinks and that's what Urban did and why they were successful. So like I could feel him lighting up when that was something that Coach Sumrall said was that, every single thing during this gauntlet, there's a winner and a loser. And, I know that these former guys feel like that's a winning formula. I thought it was interesting when I talked to him about special teams because he almost seemed a little caught off guard by the who's going to count to 11. But the amount of times I have heard Eric Wilbur say to our children, you don't practice to be good at something. And you don't practice till you get it perfect. You practice till you can't get it wrong. And so then to hear that quote come out too, it just, Eric is a product of Urban Meyer's system. So to hear so many similar quotes that we hear in our house definitely made me see some of these comparisons. And obviously, we're going to know if he's similar in action when they take the field. And that might take, a couple seasons for us to know for sure. But I think at the very least in preparation, he's pretty similar.
Something that reminds me so much of Urban Meyer? Urban Meyer was a head coach for 4 years before he came to Florida. Mm-hmm. Look at what his record was. This guy's been a head coach for 4 years before coming to Florida. Look at what his record is. That's pretty darn similar.
Yeah, think about in Urban's last year at Utah, his second year there, he made a BCS game, which, and Sumrall made the playoffs, both at schools that do not traditionally make the BCS or the playoffs. And I mean, I can see the similarities. And granted, I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid too much that I'm just crowning this guy before we've seen the product on the field. But I love what I'm able to judge so far.
Well, I mean, like you say, action and words. And this guy is putting action behind it. You know what impressed me, friends? I've listened to this interview 3 times, and I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to reference it back and probably write something about it because I learned a lot about the guy during that time. You didn't hear a single time complimentary football, did you? Right?
Oh, God.
And you didn't hear some of those things we got so tired of hearing. And there'll be no Matt on special teams. That was made clear. Yeah. And they will have someone who, by the way, used to coach with Nick Saban, to make certain the right number of people on the field. Is that too much to ask?
Well,
no.
It was interesting too, because he said that, with the counts and stuff, that it was going to be the strength staff that is in charge of that on the sidelines, which that's exactly who was in charge on the sidelines when Urban was there. An assistant strength coach named Frank was who was in charge of counting. And that's the last few years Eric has been saying, like, oh, why do they not have a strength coach doing this? What are they doing? And that's what Zook did too. So it's not even like it was just Urban. I think it's the norm that a strength coach does it. And so it was almost abnormal that we were having players count themselves instead of one of the 87 million staffers that we had on the largest staff in college football counting. So, I mean, listen, I feel like we're seeing improvements.
There's a real good comments about how he celebrates. He wasn't going to go there and give you that acronym that you were going to go. He wasn't ready, but he did endorse the one. He liked the one about hating Georgia. By the way, impressive win tonight. Did you see the game at all?
Not all of it, but I've watched a decent amount of it while I was putting.
Really impressive win. And they didn't even play the Franz. I was just lamenting some of the things they didn't do right. I said, holy crap, they lose the game. They won by 20,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the point was that he's an all-in guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not afraid to tell you I mean, again, I hate to go back, but it's all I know.
Yeah.
To go back to Napier, the fact that I asked him the greatest softball easy question in history, the first time I was around him, I had a chance to grab him for 2 seconds. I simply asked him what his favorite scripture was. Is that a tough question?
No.
And what was his answer? Oh, there are a lot of them. That's no answer. Anybody who's a Bible-believing Christian person would jump out there and tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs 3:5, whatever. And you'll have automatically. And if he had one, and he wasn't going to share it with me, that would be saying too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you ask this guy, Franz, what's his drink of choice when he celebrates? What did he tell you, Ali?
He told me he likes Blanton's and Weller's 12-year.
And you said that's the right answer.
Yeah, that is, and he went to college in Kentucky, so I shouldn't be surprised that he said bourbon, but I know Eric Wilbur was really hoping he was going to say bourbon. So
you were getting now you said, well, he checked out with
yeah.
Eric.
Yeah, he, it's been interesting. Eric is such a, I don't want to say hard guy to please. That sounds bad, but I feel like he recognizes a winner and he's not willing to placate to somebody that he doesn't think is a winner. We went to the former player barbecue every year that Napier was there and, never got a chance to talk to him. But last year we were standing 5 feet from him. And I'm like, Eric, do you want to go introduce yourself and shake his hand? And he was like, no, he's not going to be here next year. No. And just had he's been out for so long because he recognized what was going wrong. And we were being sold that it was really going right. And I think he was feeling like they were almost intentionally lying to us about what was in front of our face. And so to watch him be so impressed by the stuff that Sumrall has said has been interesting because he's not nearly the Kool-Aid drinker that I am.
Tell me this from your interview with him. And because I'm going to tell you, was my impression of him when I was there last week. This guy is happy to be in Gainesville. This guy really, really believes this is the place he wants to be and needs to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the impression I got.
I think he loves this. I think that it's such a huge jump from Tulane in terms of resources. I think he is really good at acknowledging that. I think he's so impressed by the Gator Made program. That's something we talked about off air. I think he loves the environment. And I think he thrives off the fact that we're all, I don't know, a little intense. Because I think he thinks that he's intense and he knows that he is intense. And so he thinks that we kind of pair well together because of that. And I think this fan base can be really intimidating to some people. And the fact that he is embracing the crazy instead of trying to maybe tone down expectations, I think is a really good sign. But he loves what he does and you can tell, and he loves where he is. And that makes a huge difference.
We already know more about his family in 2 months than we knew about Billy Napier's family in 4 years.
And how many times have we sat there and said that this is a form of currency? Give us the knowledge, make us feel like we know you. It makes it so much harder to root against you down the road. It makes it easier for us to give you grace when things don't go your way. Let us in. And maybe not every fan base is that way, but that's how Florida operates best. The two coaches that have been the most successful here, we could name their kids. We could tell you, their professions of their dads. We could tell you lots about their story because they shared it with us.
Yeah, exactly. And he's, he was talking the other day about how Brad White came on after him, and Brad White started talking about, this is where my kids are going to go to school. And I got a daughter who's going to be, in a drama program, as I'm trying to find what's the best school for that. The boys are going to go where they play football. And I'm thinking, have I been knocked out for the last 4 years? I mean, have I been in a coma during football season? I must have been. Because this guy is a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what else? Here's a novel thought. What if Florida football was actually fun? Oh, my goodness. Think about that. It's actually fun to go to the games and to talk about it. And instead of saying, oh, my gosh, are they going to screw up next? So, I mean, look, I'm not going to keep pounding on Napier, but he didn't. People say he's a great guy. No, he wasn't all that great a guy. Number one, he may have been nice to his players. He was a nightmare in terms of journalists and people trying to get to the story. And I think what we've seen is Ali today brought it out in her interview with Sumrall. What a joy it is to have a guy who's so happy to be there, who didn't give you any of the companion or complimentary football stuff or any of the stuff that you get tired of hearing. Or did he walk away from any responsibility? And you asked him a couple of times, that Ali, like, whose fault is it when you get too many people on the field? He says, it's mine.
Yeah.
Automatically goes to me, and I got to go talk to a coach about it. But he owned the mistakes.
Yeah.
Didn't try to pass it off on somebody. This is on the beam. I don't care how much it sounds over my skis. You can only judge what you could judge and your actions so far. What I've seen so far, I love this guy. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I love what I hear. I can't wait to get to know him. I can't wait to one day get on the list to be able to interview him as you did. Congratulations for that, Ali. By the way, tell folks how you got the interview, which is real cool on your part.
I actually reached out to him on Twitter and just, I introduced myself. We have one of Eric's cousins, or Eric's cousins grew up down the street from him, and they're good family friends. They went to school together. They played Little League together. And I reached out and I said, my husband's cousins are the Hillies, and they have told me so many great things about you. I'd love to have you on my show. And he told me how his brother watches the show, and he's like, let's do it. Reach out to the SID. And so I did. I sent Scott Burns an email, and it was in the beginning of January. And he was like, January is pretty booked with travel and recruiting. We can do February. And I was like, okay, well, let me know when. And then on like January 30th, I sent another email that was like, okay, February's coming. And he wrote me back a day or two later and asked me if I could do today. And of
Scott
course,
Burns?
Scott Burns.
Yeah,
and
thank goodness for Scott Burns.
He's great. I think he's made, and it makes me think that the decisions made in the past were mainly Billy's, even though I think Scott pushed him maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone. But Scott, I think, is more than willing to make coaches accessible if that's what those coaches want. And I do think that I think Coach Sumrall sees the value in reaching Gator fans. And, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like Gator fans get their content from people like us, Gator writers, Gator podcasters. I don't think they go to national guys for information about their local team.
They're not going to get it right if they do. They don't know.
And so that's why I always question the decisions. Like, if they were going to let Napier speak to somebody, they always would pick a national guy that doesn't have any real connection to the fan base. Now, you sit him down with Dorian
or whoever,
a national guy with the Florida spin. You sit him down with Andy Staples. That I can make sense of that too. A Florida guy with national audience. But in general, some of these choices that they made never computed to me, because it's not people that the Gators are getting their information from. And so it's not people our fans trust and want to hear from, honestly.
People talk about Franz and talk about Gator basketball, and asked me, I said, "There's one guy you want to get on is Franz."
Yes.
And he knows not only the basketball, but as one of your colleagues said, I forget who said it the other night, Franz has his own black book for the referees. He knows who the bad guys are and what their mistakes are. He knows the game. Why would you want to go
to
somewhere?
Him on the phone.
Yeah, he knows basketball. He's been around it. Football, Ali. That's the thing about you, is that you're so impressive. Never mind if you're male or female, football, and that comes through. said ask tough questions, and he answered them well and without hesitation. That's what Mr. CLMX says. And you did ask tough questions. Most people would have gagged a little bit having the head coach because he hasn't. We don't know him yet. Franz, you know about that, and what it's like when you get a chance to get the headband on, and suddenly you say, "Now I got him. What am I going to ask him?" And you don't want to be an ass kisser, but you also don't want to have him hang up on you off the bat. The art of the interview, Franz, talk about that. Ali that was a consummate professional job today. She did.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And like I said earlier, there was no fluff in it. She got to the point. She asked the questions with respect and with intelligence. And my gosh, if I'm being interviewed, that's what I can't ask for anything more than that. I think so many guys, I watched Nick Saban, over the past, and Nick would get annoyed when somebody come up there. They'd say, well, point to this guy and say, well, Coach, we just want to say you're just wonderful. And you'd see Nick go, oh, crap, what do I have to put up with this for? And coaches, good football coaches, appreciate good questions. They appreciate good interviews. And they appreciate somebody who treats them professionally without going overboard. That was a good interview. I mean, it's classic. Goodness, I wish the hell I'd done one that well recently.
Me too. I'm envious, and I can't wait to get it. I'm getting it all transcribed. I'm told Ali I'm going to keep it and study it and get on certain points go back to those points because they're all valid. There were probably 8, maybe 10 things in there that I want to know more about. And Ali asked the right questions. She didn't deviate. It's enough of us butt kissing Ali now, okay? But she did a great job.
The question is, can you punt?
No, that I cannot do, but I promise to hold feet to the fire about punting. That's
there you go. Well, he said an interesting thing, and you ask about that. He said, you got to know that I brought my special teams coach brought 2 people off his team. Mm-hmm. One was a punter, one was a kicker.
Yeah.
So, obviously, if you were worried about that, he put you to rest on that. So you got that stuff, right? That special teams in there. Good job on that. Talk about his, when you ask him about what will you know about his team. By the way, you can still go to YouTube and see Ali's interview. I tried to play a part of it to start the show, but I can't screw it up trying to get it loaded. But you should go and watch it, and you can when you ask him about what you'll know about your team after the first 3 games, what did he say?
It was interesting because he didn't say he was going to know for sure or not, but he basically said, he thinks as long as they're continuing to improve each week that it is a good sign. And he talked about how in his first year they got blown out by App State. And that when he was at Tulane, and the next year, App State needed a Hail Mary to beat them at the very end of the game. He said it was the craziest end to a game that he had ever been a part of, but that even though that was still a loss, and he's like, we started 1-2. I don't love that. He said that was still progress, and that was kind of the catalyst for what ended up being a great rest of the season was that Hail Mary loss. And I did think that's interesting. And maybe there's not a metric that you can look at and tell, but even in a loss, he was able to find progress and see that they were still advancing, the mission, so to speak. But I thought, he seems like he's going to have tough and gritty teams, and that's what his hallmark is, and that, they're going to earn what they have. And I think that's how our best teams were built. That's how it works at Florida. Those teams that just outwork everybody else and are just tougher than everybody else. So we have been missing that. We've had teams that were in shape under Napier. It's not like we were getting just gassed in the fourth quarter. But, when Urban Meyer used to say 4 to 6 seconds of relentless effort every single play, I don't know that we can say we saw that either.
I know we can say we didn't see it. Let's do this. Let's bring your other colleague in real fast. I know Franz is probably gagging over there for a second. Let me use the commercial. Steve Russell standing by. I want to get his take on things. I don't know if you saw your interview today. If you haven't seen it, I can only say to you, go see it because you'll learn a lot about Jon Sumrall, and you'll learn some things I'm sure you didn't know. So let's see if I can do this. While I'm telling you about this, I'm going to be sure and tell folks. Sorry about that. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Just hang on one second till I get things. I've got things kind of screwed up here.
Sure.
Anyway, the point being that that we learned a lot. You haven't seen the interview yet, I'm sure, with Ali, but let me get back to this first. Let me tell you about our fine sponsors, particularly the one that you hear us talk about so much, Melvin Law. Tomorrow night, we got Jeffrey Melvin's show, basketball show. He knows everybody. He's personal friends. I'm sure he'll be probably over at Todd South celebrating tomorrow after that big win over Georgia tonight. Jeffrey Mellon Law, he's a Gator. He's he's not retiring. His son, Kerry's doing more of the general partnership stuff. But Jeffrey's at every women's basketball game, every game. Every time they open up an event, Jeffrey Mellon's there. He also can refer you to some good lawyers. I've got one working on a case for me. He's a Gator. He's good. He's available. He's in 4 markets here in North Florida and 1 in South Florida. Jeffrey Mellon Law, they won't back down. Steve, impressive win tonight.
Very, very. This team's going to be hard to beat just because look what happened tonight. I mean, the backcourt shot the light by Florida standards, shot the lights out tonight. When they do that, there's not many teams that are going to beat them. I don't care, Big 10, Big 12, Big anything. When they're doing that, they're going to be really, really hard to beat. And I give Georgia a lot of credit. They kept plugging away, but just when it looked like they might get back, it was like a 10-point game. Florida goes on a run.
3-pointers,
them out.
the two 3-pointers, yeah.
Yeah, knocks
You're
them
right.
out.
They did. And it was that 10-0 start helped a little bit.
Sure.
And we've talked about this earlier, and we'll get back to it in a minute, but Chinyalu didn't have a good scoring night, but he got 20 rebounds. Holy mackerel. And you're right about the guard play. I mean, Boogie Fland was, Xavian Lee. How about his 3-point shooting, It's just so impressive. And Thomas Hough didn't have a particularly good game. Franz will disagree with me on that. What do you get? His first field goal was
he didn't score a lot of points, but he has 5 assists.
But he shot bad. He didn't shoot good the first part.
He had 5 assists, makes all of his free throws. Defensively, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a really fun team to watch, Steve, isn't it? And it's going to be more fun. I just keep saying, what is the ceiling? Because everybody that go up against, they blow them out.
Well, I can tell you this. I had Ron Slay on today from the SEC Network on my show, and maybe he was sort of pandering to a Gainesville audience, but he said, if you're asking me today, I see a Houston-Florida rematch for the national championship. Now, that can change in a week, right? But he thinks Houston's going to come out, and I'll tell you what, tonight's performance didn't do anything to deter me from thinking that certainly isn't possible. I mean, look, you all know this. You can go to a tournament, have one bad night, and you're out. That can happen. But Florida can beat you in so many different ways. It's going to take an extraordinary effort by somebody, I think, when they're playing like that to beat them.
And for a team to have that much size, to have that much speed going up and down the court, big guys, that's just impossible to have 4 big guys. Even Micah. Micah can run. People don't realize Micah's got speed. And then you bring in Clobbering and Brown off the bench as fast as
they're knocking down threes like crazy.
I mean, this team's, if they can shoot 30%, and Jimmy Dike said it tonight. He said, if this team can beat 30%, he says, I'll put them in the Final Four right now.
Yeah. And I think Boogie Fland, this is his team now, as far as the point guard. It's his team. And I think since that sort of was decided, they played a lot better too. I mean, he's run things well. he's not shot great, but he's taking care of the ball. He's got a great assist to turnover ratio, sets everything up. I know at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of angst by some people, but Todd Golden and his staff can flat coach. They're analytics driven, and those kids buy into it. They're going to be just a tough out. Wow, they're going to be a tough out.
Ali, I know you follow it all closely, and you can't help but be impressed. Is the depth of this team? They're going to play 8, maybe 9. They're good. You don't see any fall off when they have the first substitution. They just see a different kind of ball. They can run with you. They can shoot the 3. They can the way the bigs pass the ball is a beautiful thing to watch. I think they have an amazing touch, those big guys, and watching them run the court. Can you imagine being a basketball coach and watching how much you salivate if you're a coach? These big guys run that court. My goodness. Right?
Yeah, the bench play has been incredibly impressive, and I feel like it's kind of different people each game, which is even more so. It's not like there's just one sixth man and you can count on him when he comes in. The entire bench has been impressive, and I'll tell you what, I was on with you guys a few months ago, and it was the first or maybe 3-ish games of the season, and I was a little concerned. And Franz, it was you that was like, "Oh no, this is exactly where we need to be. This team is going to peak at the right time." Just
I know,
wait.
old smarty pants got it right again.
I know, and he did. He got it right. He was sold. They said on the broadcast, Florida's won the last 4 games by a combined 109
Oh my
points.
gosh, I was just asking you about that. That was 109.
109 is what
Wow.
they said. Oh, wild.
Oh my goodness
I do. I think this team is peaking at the right time. And it's hard to imagine who's going to stop them at this moment. And it's been since 2014 since we've been in the driver's seat for the regular season.
2014, last time they've been number 1. That's true.
I mean, impressive. It is interesting to watch the rankings because I do think that Florida is chronically underranked. Not that it matters at this moment, regardless, but that number tells me people are still sleeping on Florida, even though it's clearly not, in Gainesville that people are sleeping on them.
Isn't it great though, Steve, to be not be ranked high, coming in from underneath? They're going to be maybe a 4, Franz, 3 at the most, but they're not going to be ranked high nationally for a while. And this isn't that the perfect striking point? Steve,
Lenardi said tonight before on SEC Network, he said Florida. He said, "Mark my words, Florida will be a number 2 seed."
Yeah, I think that too, because the league last year, we all know, was extraordinary, a historic year in our league for the number of teams that went to the tournament. The league isn't as strong this year; it's not. And Florida still has to play South Carolina again, but they get a chance to play Kentucky. They play, I think Arkansas is the last SEC game of the year. I believe that's right. So
no, they're at Kentucky on senior night.
Okay. But I mean, isn't Arkansas the last game of the year?
Home game.
Last home game. So they have a chance to get more marquee wins and get quad 1 wins and move up. And I think, again, the way they're playing, I love Arkansas. I think Arkansas is the second best team in the league right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Everybody's saying that. I don't see that, but maybe you're right.
Do.
I have them number 2 in my worst to first.
You guys know more about it than I do, but anyway. All right, look, we got a few minutes remaining here. I know people got to go with different things, especially Franz, before he falls over. I want to have a group huddle and talk about what we've got here in this football team and coach. We can only judge what we know. And we have not seen very much so far, but what we've seen and heard, I think we could be dangerously falling in love with this coach already. And by that, I mean, don't fall in love with your first date. But Ali's interview today just furthered my theory about this guy being a straight shooter, easy to talk to, a normal person who likes normal things, who gets it, who can count till 11 and making sure he's going to have people who would help him. We laugh, but my gosh, it was so horrible. And I'm not going to keep beating up on the previous coach. He's gone. But it's just, like I said, wouldn't it be something if Gator football was fun again And I think this guy can be fun. Now, he'll tear your head off if he's unhappy with you, I'm sure. I just like everything about this guy so far. Steve, am I over my skis here?
No. He has a lot of urban in him, I think, in that cocky, I'm a winner. I mean, if you come out and say publicly, I'm a winner, well, that puts pressure on you, like it or not, because that's going to come back to haunt you if something goes wrong here. He's not afraid to do that. So he's got the confidence in his ability. He's got the confidence in the coaches he has to, say something like that. And I think that's exactly what this fan base needs. They need somebody with a little swagger again. Now you got to back it up, right? I mean, that's the next step. But instead of, gee, I hope we can, I think we can. No, we're going to win. First thing, we're going to win. And I just think that sets the bar high. But as a fan, I love that guy that's got a little swagger.
We need desperately a coach that exudes confidence. Spurrier, from the moment he walked on the field, Steve Spurrier, there's a reason why he got nicknamed Steve Superior when he was in college, and I mean, look, the guy wanted everything. The only guy in the history of Tennessee to be the MVP in the state championship in 3 different sports.
How about the only guy to ever be the MVP on a losing team in the Sugar Bowl?
Yeah.
That was Spurrier too.
And then you take Urban, who came in here and just flat out slayed it. I mean, he really did. But these guys, you never had a moment when you doubted their confidence. I don't remember too many moments with Billy Napier when I felt he was confident.
Good point.
I can't remember Jim McElwain other than when he said that his dog Clara could play quarterback.
Yeah, we remember
that was the most confident thing
we never saw Clara, by the way. She never got on the field.
But I think that was the most confident thing I ever heard him say.
Yeah. Franz is right, Ali. He's right. It feels good, doesn't it, Ali?
Yeah. And, the alternative is not very fun at all, right? So I am totally down to drink the Kool-Aid and be excited about the stuff that we can judge him on for now, which is, interviews and the plan that he lays out. That's all we've got to go on. And when spring starts, we'll have some product to see. And then in August, we'll, get a real look at what's been going on in that facility. But for now, all we have to judge him on is the things that he says. And I feel like he's hitting it out of the park in that aspect. And I think he's competitive. And I think he's authentic. And that, Napier always seemed, and again, not to dog on him, but it's just the staff that was before. It's what we have to compare to. He seemed very guarded and, afraid maybe to let people in. And I just think we are the type of fan base that if we know you, we support you better. If we understand where you're coming from, if we understand the vision, we can get behind it a little bit more. And so I think this is such a smart approach. Tell the fans what you're trying to do. Tell the fans what you see and tell us you're confident. We like a cocky coach. That's what works for UF. And he's confident and I think genuine.
Yeah, I think that. I can't wait to see the quarterbacks. I hear so much good about Faulkner. They got 2 guys they believe in back there. You can feel it when they talk about it. They feel good about it. Certainly, we know the receivers, they're stacked there. And we hadn't even seen the best one, according to what I've heard from other people, the experts. Singletary, is it? He's amazing. Singleton. Singleton. I always forget because Singleton was the publisher of the Denver Post. I'm trying to forget him. Anyway, so bottom line is, I mean, to have that kind of talent right now, there's some holes. And he said today, Ali, we lost some guys we didn't want to lose. I think I heard an interview, it might have been yours, where I kind of wish we'd done a little better in the defensive and offensive lines in the portal. Did they ever? Yeah.
Dave Waters, I think you said that.
Yeah, it was Dave Waters. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Wish he had. And, quarterback, I'm excited because they're talented, but there's like 3 starts total in that room. And so I do think that that's going to be one that if we win 7 or 8 games or we win 10 games, it's going to come down to what they're able to develop in that room because it's just not experienced yet. We might be incredibly impressed, but that's one of the areas that I'm going to watch because there's a lot of question marks there. I think running back, we know that we're set. Wide receiver, embarrassment of riches. I think there's a linebacker, another room I feel incredibly confident in, but quarterback is one that while I'm excited because of the talent, I got to see how it develops because it's green.
You didn't mention Troutline, who I think is a key figure, Steve.
Yeah,
The guys he's bringing in there, the caliber of the players he's bringing there. What if he had 5 studs? You know what I mean? And the way he developed, what they talk about him, the ones who played for him immediately jumped to get a chance to play for him again.
Yeah.
He talks about how much he loves being here, how great it was to bring his family here. He never thought he'd be able to coach here. And is so remembering those teams he played for. So there's many, many good things. The quarterback thing is a mystery, but I like the fact that Faulkner, by the way, was the assistant coach of the year. Don't forget that, by the way. Faulkner, who was really comes highly recommended, knows ball, can run it and beat you or throw it and beat you. I can't wait to see how much of what we heard about him is true and who he picks. I wouldn't have any idea who that would be right now, but it sure looks good right now, Steve, with these 2 guys.
The thing I liked about what he said at his press conference was, we don't have a number 1 quarterback now. We don't have one yet. I love that. I think people just believe that the kid from Georgia Tech's going to walk in here and be the starter. That could end up being that way, but there's going to be competition. And I think the other thing as a coach, quarterback is the most important position in sports, in my opinion. So you have, whether you like Lagway, don't like Lagway, he had credentials coming here. He could have easily said, I got to keep this guy. He's been here. I can develop him. I can make, well, it didn't work. Whatever that chemistry was didn't work. And that took some stones to say, sorry, we don't want you. And that is not easy, I think, for an incoming coach to do. The flip side of that is, I want my own guy. Okay, I get that too. And I hope Lagway does great at Baylor. I have nothing against him. It was a tough gig for him here, but it takes stones to do that. And he, I think, will pick the best guy out of this. And I don't think he's aligned with one guy. Best man wins. Love that.
You know what another thing I liked? Tell me if you didn't think the same thing. You see him up there for the podium. Of course, he says, with Bonner, when I was at Valdosta State with Bonner, we threw it downfield. He said, I couldn't throw downfield, so we went side to side. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, this guy looks like a buster. I mean, he just looks like a buster. I mean, the guy is maybe 5'10", maybe, if that. And just oozing confidence and like, okay, hey, you may be 6'4", I'll take you on. And I again, it's that confidence that I'm seeing. I saw it in Brad White. I saw it in Buster Faulkner. Saw it in Jon Sumrall. Seeing it in the interview that Ali did with Jon Sumrall. Confidence. What was that? Remember that great commercial that they did? Who was it that said, confidence is very sexy, don't you think? And there is confidence. And I think, Ali, I think you're so right. And that is going to really resonate with this fan base. Steve, you talk to these guys, they call in every day. And I think it's just really resonating so far.
It is. And I also think, tell me if you agree with this, the fact that Urban Meyer now is back in the good graces here, don't tell me that they have not talked. Don't tell me notes haven't been compared where he's talked to Urban about how he did it. What was his formula? What did you do? And I think the fact that, whether, again, people liked the way Urban left, the people didn't want him here, he's going to be in the Ring of Honor. He was at the press conference wearing Gators stuff, which you hadn't seen in a long time. Believe me, there's connection there where he's going to lean on Urban and say, how'd you do it? What did you do? And Urban's going to tell him. Mickey Marotti.
Wonder if Urban talked to him about the removing of the Gators stuff, because
Yes.
that
Exactly
worked
my point.
so well when Urban did it. And so
Yes.
it would not shock me if he said, make them earn it, make
Yes.
them earn that Gator logo. And, another brain I know he's going to pick is Danny Warfels. When I talked to Danny,
big role.
After the hiring process, he told me, I want to know this offense. I don't just want to be a casual fan. I want to know what they're trying to do. I want to know what they're teaching the kids so that I can be involved. And he had said that he really hasn't taken a role like that ever with the football program, but he wants to do that for this team. And so I'm sure that'll be somebody he leans on, which also means Spurrier will be somebody he leans on. And I mean, what's weapons to have in your back pocket there?
Yeah. Two things we got to go. One was, you mentioned Spurrier. I heard Faulkner say the other day about his quarterback room, who's coaching the quarterback. So you got so-and-so, and we got a Spurrier in there. He made a note of that. And of course, we know Urban has talked. Urban, when he talked originally to Sumrall, said, I felt like I was talking to myself. He said it, and that really hit a home run with Sumrall. He thought that was really impressive. So, guys, great job. Final thoughts on what you're working on next. Steve, who's your guest tomorrow? You've had some good ones lately. I know, Ali, you have your great interview with Playing Now, and Franz has got this book up here in the corner we'll talk about. Steve, go first. What you got on this week?
I'm just trying to think the rest of the week here. Cooper Wall's going to come on tomorrow, who's going to be the starting pitcher on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
For Florida. He won that job early on here. I always try. I'm an old high school coach, so a lot of basketball teams now are in regional play when I get some of them on. And then I'm trying to think who else is going to be on and then Goose Givens is going to be on, Jack Givens, later in the week to preview Kentucky. So
yeah, okay. Ali, you got 30 seconds to promo what you got going on. Where can they read the interview? It's going to be much talked about, one of the coups of the whole last decade, I think. Terrific job.
Well, I appreciate that. But you can check it out on A Peek Inside Gator Football on YouTube. I'm actually going to have on Nick Zimmerman, Florida's new women's soccer coach, pretty soon. He and I grew up together. And
really?
Yes, he is from Tampa. He's 2 years younger than me, went to school with me all through elementary and middle school. And he and my sister are really good friends, actually, to this day. But he and his wife just welcomed their first baby. His wife's back in Mississippi still recovering, but I actually talked to him again today, and he's like, okay, when are we going to do this? So next week I will have him on, and I'm so excited that he is a part of Gator Nation. Really good guy, was an incredible soccer player growing up, and really good family. So
great. Franz, we get 30 seconds on the book.
The book's for sale. You can get it at spurriers.com. It's selling well, and I think you're going to find it's a pretty good read if you like.
Terrific read, by the way. Terrific read.
If you like following what happened, on a game-by-game basis.
Maybe a parallel to this year. You never know. Great job, guys. Thanks, Steve, for making a point. Ali, great job again. Appreciate it, Franz. We'll talk to you guys later on. All right?
See you guys.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up tonight and with our message to our sponsors. I want to tell you about the Titan MRI, one of our fine sponsors that has been with us a long time, and we want to continue to support them. If you need any kind of MRIs or anything like that, if you're in the North Florida area, check them out, because these people are customer oriented. Titan MRI and Imaging has 3 locations now, and soon to be have a 4th. 2 in Gainesville with their Park Avenue location now, the Millennium Center, and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging also offers the same great customer service. Listen to this. If you can't go get your MRI during the day, they will bring in staff that night for you to come and have yours there. They have the bigger cages when you go there, so you don't have to get claustrophobia. Plus, convenient self-pay options for CAT scans, MRIs, X-rays, ultrasounds. Check them out. Large MRI machines, as I said, coming soon to Ocala, better serve Marion County. Titan MRI and imaging. It's your choice. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, folks. Back tomorrow night for a final show this week. Hope you'll join us then. We'll say goodnight with a little bit of music.